This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games.
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
Anthony for three. Bang!
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and sports fans alike? You're listening to the Ruckus and the Menace podcast. I'm Spence the Menace.
And I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
And on this episode of Ruckus and the Menace, we'll have a few quick takes, go through and recap last week's picks from NBA All-Star Weekend, go through the good, bad, and the ugly, have a primetime game that we have been anticipating to kick off, along with also having a date scheduled to record the final results of that. And then we'll go through our color commentary and name our studs and duds as we normally do.
Spoiler alert,
But
I'm already
Ruckus.
gonna whip Spence, so hit the trash talk commences now.
Hey,
from me.
no guarantees on that. I know that I may be feeling like I'm mentally inclined to go right back into MLB 23 form because we've been playing the new technical test, but no guarantees on that. I mean, as long as you're not throwing dirt balls every time, I may just have to sit
water?
and take dirt balls. Like stuff that you're trying to keep it below the strike zone.
I think I'll be very friendly with it this time instead of throwing hot dog water the whole time.
Yeah, we'll try and mix it up. Yeah, try and mix it up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, but some major things that have been going on are really, we've kind of got the big special coming up here in a few weeks. I mean, this is a special primetime game coming up later this weekend. Really, I mean, other than that, I mean, each of us have been playing a new game. Each of us have been playing one of the newer games released this year.
That is correct. I've been playing a lot of it. Oh, I've been playing a little bit of Atomic Heart. Game runs well, performs well, and I'm happy about that. Usually with new launches for games on PC, they do not run very well, or they have some stability problem of some sort or some bug, but this one did not, so I was very happy about that. I was also playing Dark Tide this past week with Salty Waters and some MLB The Show, and I was practicing earlier today or yesterday to see how well I could play on not Assassin's difficulty, All-Star difficulty.
Yeah.
And then for the shows I've been watching Bob's Burgers, so that's been fun. All right, Spence, how have you been?
I think for me, it's like I've been watching the usual content. Been really watching the usual content for me. I really haven't had anything new kind of outside the box that's really stuck in. Other than that, I've watched Ant-Man finally. No spoilers because we're still within that recency window. But it's a phase starter. That's kind of the biggest thing I can say without really delving a hole too deep into it. But it's been a week of a combination of late nights, coordinating a hangout for next week, but getting the marriage license. So 4.5 weeks away. So
Woo-woo!
that'll be good. The 1 year episode is definitely like our big, definitely. It's probably one of the biggest specials we've got because
for sure.
yeah. And we really haven't even started doing a whole lot of the coordination for that, but I know that we're probably going to have a few more, I would say I think we've got maybe a little bit of a larger color commentary that may not even involve the sports ball realm, and we'll kind of be delving away from the sports ball for that episode, especially because we'll have some people that may not be as savvy into
That
sports
and the
on.
personality realm of all these different people as well too.
Yeah, together. Yeah, just having all of us come together is it's crazy enough as it is. And
Yeah, and it's
then
funny because me and you are probably like the biggest sports people that talk about sports, and then maybe another guest that
I
is
mean, we've already mentioned that I think we've already mentioned that Lam would be around, and Lam is more NBA than,
yeah,
but with some of our other things that we're kind of keeping a little bit close to the vest, they're not so much.
yeah.
but it's definitely worthwhile. And
I'm hyped.
this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good, especially when we get the big group message in. And I'm trying to think of some other like very good ideas of what we want to kind of do. I think we might have to do some special planning. But other than that, let's get right into some quick takes on the sport realm. Ruckus, do you want me to start with the MLB, the NFL, or the NBA?
Start the NBA and NFL, and then let me know when to count me for the MLB because we have
Yep.
one thing for that, and I would like to.
Well, I think I'm going to start with the NFL because we really only have one for that, and that is going to be that Taylor Lewan and Robert Woods have been cut from the Titans in order to save cap room. Interesting to say that those two have been cut, especially because there was a certain other player that I will very surprised that has not been cut, so the Titans could maybe get a little bit more competitive into the quarterback market. I'm sure you know exactly who. And that is Ryan Tannehill. Um, but then the NBA, there's a few players moving around and changing places after the All-Star break. Myers Leonard returns to the NBA, going to Milwaukee. Patrick Beverly will be signing with the Chicago Bulls. Kevin Love has cleared waivers and is going to the Miami Heat. And last but not least, Russell Westbrook, after his buyout in Utah, has signed to play with the Clippers.
It's almost like
And
that.
now,
It's almost kind of like that. Sorry, it kind of reminds me of like players that went from the Red Sox to the Yankees. They're like going to the dark side. That's what,
um,
like
not
Westbrook to like
not
Westbrook to the Clippers,
completely,
pretty much is what I'm saying. That was
not co- not exactly. I think I wouldn't necessarily say that would be a Red Sox to the Yankees thing. That would have maybe applied a little bit more if it were Russell Westbrook going from the Lakers to becoming a Celtic. I
yeah, true.
think that this is almost like staying in the same city but going to the little brother team. This is
So from
almost
going to the
like
Yankees to the
saying,
Mets,
um, I
I feel
I
like the
wouldn't
Mets
use that
is.
as a comparison because I think they're both. I would have said this almost like I would have said pretty much. I think it would be like going from being a member of the Cubs to the White Sox,
I was about to say that to you.
or maybe it's the other way around. Or from the White Sox to the Cubs.
Cubs are probably a better team than the White Sox. Let's be honest.
I think the Cubs are the older team, but I think if last year's record kind of shows, I think the White Sox were probably the better team. But it's almost like they're equivalent.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going
But
unless
now we go
that was
right
it.
into our MLB news.
All right, and that
And
is Jason Kipnis being officially retiring from the major leagues. He sent out a statement on Twitter and other social media platforms, and I was going to read the first paragraph of it. and that's pretty much all you need to know. So the rest of it's just him thinking who he wants to think. So here we go. There is no real ending. It's just the place you stopped the story. I'd be lying if I said I wanted to write this. To have to officially acknowledge that my time as a player in the game of baseball is over. I always heard you rarely get to end your career on your own terms. They weren't lying. Breaking my hamate bone on my last swing with Cleveland meant no fun hat tip before leaving. Got to go home and wear the Cubby blue and return to Cleveland as a visitor. Pandemic, empty stadiums, no closure. Instead, it ended the way my professional career started, riding buses in the minor leagues. And then the lockout happened, and before I knew it, it was over. My mind and body just aren't up for the commitment anymore. Frustrating at first, but there was only one feeling I'm left with that stands out above all: gratitude.
Now, for a lot of people's different contexts here, because maybe people don't know exactly where the hamate bone is. That is actually a bone inside the hand. So, so that,
Which,
so, so basically, with that, that would have prevented Kipnis from being able to grip his hat, like. I mean, granted his fingers, but like to actually have control of like his hand to be able to wave it or tip it.
yeah, it's in the wrist.
Yeah, it's basically the hand and the wrist. Yeah, so that makes that a little rough.
In Latin, it means a little hook, according to uh, a website that was showing up on Google when I searched hammock bone just now.
Yeah. Oh, I looked up kind of the location of the bone too, so and caught that on like a source as well.
Yeah, they're so
Just to
tiny.
make sure we. Yep. But that tiny bone does mean a lot, especially for a baseball player in trying to follow through with his hands on his swing.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
But I but I would say I really enjoyed Kipnis. Kipnis as a player just purely was. I mean, was he really going to be recognized as a Hall of Famer or an all-time great?
No.
No. But was he going to be like one that probably is like a standout for the type of player and work ethic that he had? Absolutely.
To me, he kind of reminds me of like, well, cause like he mainly played in Cleveland his whole career, and he had a couple good seasons with the Indians where they went to postseason and got pretty far. And it kind of reminds me of Alex Gordon in a way with the Royals, where Alex Gordon, he was good with defense and offense, kind of like Kipnis. He could get the ball he could do line drives and make the big hits when it counted. Um, but he wasn't like super well recognized in that sense of Hall of Famer or what have you. And currently, I don't know if they put him in the Royals Hall of Fame just yet, but he wasn't really a well-known candidate in my opinion, and other people's opinion. But yeah, um, you hit the nail on the head with him saying, or from you saying that he isn't really like a Hall of Famer, but he is somewhat known.
Yeah. Yeah, but kind of the notable nickname that he was received this was the one that previously that I mentioned in there as Kipnis was the player nicknamed as Dirtbag
Yep.
since he is prone to getting his uniform dirty during the course of a game. So that's where I said that hustle, that work ethic, um, was
He kind of had a weird
basically.
swing too. Like he was trying to like he was more so just trying to make sure that he could like line up the swing before each hit too, compared to like other players that were like more fancy with their swing. He was like just actually trying to pay attention to it, the lineup.
Yeah, he was he career hit for two. He was a career 260 hitter with 126 home runs and drove in 545 runs in his career. So really, if you kind of talk about more of like Kipnis's effort, He didn't really have a gold glove. He didn't really have a gold glove. He didn't have like any silver sluggers. He was a two-time All-Star. So his career was mostly very unheralded, but had a lot more of the work on his end, was known for being more of a defender.
Yeah, and the crazy thing to note too is was was Kipnis a switch hitter or was he mainly just a lefty?
Kipnis batted left-handed.
Okay, yeah, because the crazy thing about the comparison to Alex Gordon is they're both left-handed.
Yeah, Kipnis was a bat left, throw right.
Yep, same here. Anyways, do we want to get into our next segment?
Yep, we now move on to recapping the film room from last week, where granted that this nearly went in a major swing my way, I only picked it up by one game. And that separator was actually the All-Star game. But we start with the celebrity game where Team Dwayne beat Team Ryan, but Team Ryan almost had it thanks to a certain event that we'll name and that I'll be naming later. Then I evened it out with getting Team Gasol right for the Rising Stars Challenge. None of us got the Skills Challenge right, as Team Jazz beat the Antetokounmpos and the Rookies. The 3-point shootout was won by Damian Lillard. And then we both picked correctly Mac McClung for the slam dunk contest, which that we'll mention. I think we definitely can mention that a little later in the good, because that was a very solid dunk contest for him.
Dude's a
And then,
freaking Scott medalist, but we'll talk about that later.
yep. But then the All-Star game was won by Team Giannis, and they picked their teams before the game, like before the game. It wasn't picked like days out. So we actually did not so we didn't know who was on the teams until the day of.
Yeah.
And Giannis won it by a little bit. And they also came with an Elam ending for the, like, the one from the basketball tournament? The Where the fourth quarter all of a sudden after a bit comes down to like a certain amount of points scored at the end.
Yep.
That's what they did.
And they do that every year, it seems. And then don't they
Yeah,
donate to charity
it's
each
now been
quarter as well?
I think they put everything through for each quarter as well. Yeah, but then the Elam ending, is something notable as well. It's like, it was a very interesting way they formatted the All-Star game. But now we go to kind of the Eastwood segment of this thing: the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There you go.
It may have came through on your end, but it just
I saw it on Discord, okay? I saw it. Literally, my blip showed up.
yeah,
No
we know the
excuse.
blip showed up. We know the blip showed up. Okay, so what were the major things that were good in sports this week?
Opening weekend of the XFL, as it featured 3 out of the 4 amazing games that were tightly contested and close.
Man, that
I feel like the XFL was this past week was good. Josh Gordon, a former Chief, and Jordan Tamu, like they weren't teammates, but or actually they probably were now that I think about it. But Josh Gordon did pretty damn good in the XFL.
I am actually very, very impressed with the DC Defenders being able to fight back. The St. Louis Battlehawks, which are kind of the two teams that I'm really looking closely into.
Yeah, and they're using the former Rams stadium from St. Louis. That
Yeah.
was
Oh, yeah.
converted.
The Battlehawks. Well, and the interesting thing was that before Heineke ever came back to the Washington football team / Commanders, Heineke was actually in the XFL with the Battlehawks prior to the pandemic. And I don't even think Heineke was even starting. But this opening weekend for the XFL was very, very solid for The Rock and the new league.
Could you smell what The Rock was cooking?
Or we could just say, finally, the XFL has come back to your TV screens.
And then you can get a Bruce Buffer to be like, "It's time." See, I didn't say Bruce Banner.
Yeah, yeah. I knew you saved yourself on that one, but I was definitely going with the Rock with the Rock.
Well, that makes me a
Because
jabroni then because I said Bruce Buffer.
oh, oh joy. But the NBA All Star events were also solid and good this week. The dunk contest I feel has lost its flair, but I mean the new changes to the 3-point shootout obviously make it very entertaining. Were the best shooters there for the 3-point shootout this year? No, because because Curry wasn't 100%, Klay Thompson didn't compete, but shooters are shooters, and there's a lot of really, really good ones. So it's very, very difficult to figure out who like the best shooters are for competition.
And dude, speaking of the dunk contest, they should have had a pool over there because my guy Matt McClung looked like a Olympic diver with his like spins and everything. Like when the dude did like spins for like 360s and whatnot, he literally looked like he was jumping out the high dive and then just spinning around.
Oh, and every single dunk Mac McClung made was on his first attempt, and he nearly made his yearly salary in the G League in one night with winning that dunk contest. That's
Yes, sir.
insane. But he also had the Gate City High School jersey with doing the 540. Um like nothing was overly crazy about what he did except for the 540. And it was a legit 540. It was
Yeah.
not the Oladipo 540. It was not the Oladipo 540. Oladipo's was a 360 from one end of the rim to the other. Mac McClung's was a legit 540. But what made Mac McClung's dunk contest very interesting is that everything was done on the first attempt, and he did everything so cleanly. Even though I do think that the Blake Griffin dunk contest up to the point before he did the commercial jump over the hood of the Optima, which was too played out. I still think the Blake Griffin off the backboard honey dip was his best dunk of that dunk contest.
Oh, by far.
I mean, the best one for Vince Carter was his East Bay. Was
It's
the East Bay.
over. And then he did his it's over. It's over.
Yeah. Yeah, the best dunk contest performance is Vince Carter from 2000. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But Mac McClung is right up there. And then the best dunk contest final, other than obviously the Wilkins and Jordan, was the Aaron Gordon Zach LaVine one where they both were just coming out with banger after banger,
Yes.
innovative banger after innovative banger after innovative banger, and then Zach LaVine wins it off of like a cheap dunk that he was already doing. where Gordon like went up, down, and back up, and nobody really like caught on to that.
All right, what is bad in sports this week?
I'm gonna say just injuries as a whole, because you have injuries around the NBA All-Star game, and then to prospects in the MLB, especially from the Cleveland Guardians, is I'm gonna mention on the MLB side, is one of them was the local favorite here in Chase DeLauder, and he's gonna miss some time with an issue in his foot.
Drew
Um,
Waters from the Kansas City Royals had a oblique strain that's going to take him out for 4 to 6 weeks as well for the Royals.
yeah, yeah, but I was talking more so the DeLauder one being months because of
Yeah,
the bone in his foot.
I was just
And
adding that.
then the injuries in the like around the NBA All-Star game were of course the
LeBron hand and then the Giannis
Giannis,
wrist.
LeBron's hand. Yep. Which some of that doesn't necessarily surprise me going into the second half, that you're going to see some load management happen.
Yep.
But then last but not least, what was downright ugly in sports this week?
Roger Goodell's forehead. Just kidding. Roger
Is
Goodell
it
defending.
a 4 head, or is it a 5 head, or a 6 head?
I'll let you be the judge of that, Spence, because I don't know what the hell you just said.
No, like how many fingers go from his eyebrows to his hairline?
Oh, I don't know.
How many fingers can you fit?
I think we would need Peyton Manning to like be from side to side of him, just so we could get like a estimate. Because Peyton Manning, my God, that forehead looks like it grows. It's almost like that Simpsons episode with the isotopes, and they bring in all the super good like ML Major League players, and then one of them gets like the antidote that Mr. Burns gives him that he drinks, and then has like a bunch of tumors on his head. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Not completely, but I kind of get the concept.
Yeah, like god damn, that man.
But what
Like,
really was going on with Roger Goodell?
he was defending the NFL officiating, saying it has been better than ever before, even though it's been controversially bad to the bone. I'm looking at you, Cheffers.
Where are you going with it? Was bad to the bone. Was not even talking like the bad in terms of what you're describing.
Well, he did say
It
go
it
for it.
more so just sounds more like Charles Barkley's vowel pronunciation. Terrible.
That's terrible, Ernie. Just terrible.
Hey, we
I'm
need to get
hungry, Truck.
all that defense need to get all over him, just like we need to be all over Kim Jong Il.
That's just terrible, Ernie. That's just terrible. Just terrible.
Well, if
I'm
you caught where
hungry,
I was
Chuck.
going with mine, that was like
Yeah.
that was a ref. Mine was a reference to the Frank Caliendo doing Charles Barkley.
What the hell, Ernie? I just loved his commentary, no matter what it was. Like when he did like celebrity golf thing, I was cracking up.
And, and Charles Barkley's golf swing isn't any better. Have you even looked that up?
I believe so, and it's not good.
I could probably swing a golf club better than Charles Barkley. And my golf game is hopeless.
I feel like I would miss a couple times if I tried to do it like at Top Golf, just like try to swing. But anyways, go ahead with the Goodell talk.
Yeah, but Goodell was defending NFL officiating, saying it is like, oh, it's been better. Like, no, it hasn't. You've got, and this also happens like in all sports where the referees just, where officials end up trying to make this game feel like it's a little bit more about them rather than just playing the game, rather than just having the game be played. I mean, you have an official like telling Terry McLaurin he's good to no more than 5 seconds later. Flag. Illegal formation. No, the Giants probably shouldn't even be in the playoffs this season due to just officials being blind. Like they're calling stuff that either wasn't really there or calling stuff that kind of just off of an angle doesn't necessarily look right.
Yeah.
Like no. No. Your officiating is shaky at best, Roger Goodell. I mean, is there so much you can do without having to go right over to robo refs? Yeah, there's only so much you can really do.
They could
But
also do what the XFL did, where they show like live like what the people upstairs are saying, rather than it just being kind of like dead air, and then having the broadcasters make it up.
that sounds like a very interesting concept. That I think I've noticed that also with like college football challenges too. Whenever they do that, like they actually like it turned out at the stadium where they showed like multiple angles of the same thing and the in Mill and Puskar,
Uh huh.
and like you could see it like from multiple angles like freely. Like freely. Like obviously the director was obviously putting it up on the screen, but and you could see that,
Yeah.
but it was a little more free, more like freely being done. Like you freely had access to all those angles. And I think the interpretation of what is a catch needs to really be looked at. What is roughing the passer needs to be looked at. There's a few rule changes that have to be looked into as well that the refs would have to be able to enforce. But there's some of that's just there's only so much you can really do. But at the same time, the officiating really had too many instances of just controversy among them and
Hmm.
getting stuff wrong or calling stuff at the absolute wrong time that games got affected. And I think that sports betting has played an ugly hand in this. I think sports betting has played ugly hands involving anytime touchdown scores. Because honestly, I think Jerick McKinnon probably should have taken that into the end zone. And instead of kneeling down in the one, to completely. I mean, granted, did that seal them a win? Yeah, but I think that the Chiefs probably could have won that anyway, even if McKinnon crossed the goal line. If you're getting what I'm saying on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's also just a general one of those kind of plays where, yeah, you already pretty much put it on there. I don't know. I think it was a good idea for him to like not go into the end zone and kill time. That way they don't have much of a chance.
That you don't run into much of the risk, but I think at the same time you probably could have had a more entertaining game if McKinnon did. So that way you have Philadelphia get a full shot at the drive to potentially tie the game or go for the win, and really give like the true Hollywood drama of the whole thing.
Um, to be honest with you, if you were the team that had the control of the game to stop the clock and or make the team use their last timeout, would you do the same thing if you were that person with the power at that moment, with the adrenaline rush of being like, okay, we're about to win our second Super Bowl in the past 4 years? Would you um I feel like you'd probably be in the same boat as Andy Reid or some other team if they were
I don't think
thinking
I'd
that.
take the points off the board. I don't think I'd take the points off the board. And the reason why is because they still have to get 75 yards up the field. They still have to get all the way up the field. You still you still got to play defense. and avoid making mistakes.
I
And
don't
the
know.
Chiefs had been doing a great job of that really in that second half. Because they kind of had they really had stalled the Eagles out at that point. Granted that they had just given up the game tying touchdown and 2-point conversion, but they basically could have just made Jalen Hurts try to throw the ball.
Yeah.
So
I don't
that's why I
know.
think ultimately, I think whether or not that mattered, that I think it showed really a lack of trust in your defense, who had been playing well in the second half.
I don't know. The game is done though, but
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can
but I'm
debate
saying
that all
like,
we want.
but I'm in a position where it's like, yeah, just let your defense try and win it.
True.
But the next thing we have is the primetime game. Since we were talking about kind of one of the biggest primetime games of all time in the Super Bowl, we'll move right into that segment. And last week, Ruckus and I picked our poison with an NBA All-Star draft where we picked based on resumes. This week is our Wheel of Fortune draft and play involving MLB The Show. Ruckus and I spun wheel to determine the team in which we will draft. We each got two separate wheels. We each got two separate teams each round, so that even though we would be picking from the same water, like picking from some of the same teams, there was still a little bit of a chance that we both could end up picking something different.
Correct.
And I wanted to do that just so we knew that we had like the best options. And we will play the game out. And we actually have changed this into a best of 3, as we will be recording this on Saturday evening. And
And it
yes, I'm
probably
gonna
won't be
put
up
that for
till Sunday, or we'll see
yeah,
whenever I get the chance to edit
yeah,
the footage. But yeah.
yep. But for round by round, our round by rounds. All right, Ruckus. We started with round 1 with you getting my Red Sox, and I took the Blue Jays, and I had the Blue Jays. So
Right.
where did you go?
I went first base with Rafael Devers. He's normally a third baseman, but he could also play first. Can we do it by lineup or?
Yeah. Um. Well, I was kind of. Well, we can kind of, but don't forget we also may have to double back and reference the round by round if we do it that way.
That's
But go ahead and
fine.
start yourself off.
I'm gonna start with my pitching actually. So, for my starting rotation, I have Shohei Ohtani, as he was in the 17th round for me for the Angels. And when I got that call, and there were many times where Spanish was like, "Oh, I got a good team," and I was like, "Please not be the Angels, please not be the Angels." and and I got Ohtani, the
Oh,
cover athlete.
yeah, I ended up not really drawing the Angels until much later. And had I had the Angels, I probably would have looked right away at an Otani,
Yeah,
and I
and
got him
then
sooner.
my second rotation guy is Paul Blackburn, a starting pitcher for the Oakland Athletics, who I got in the 12th round. I had Jacob DeGrom as my pick for in the 21st round with the Rangers, as this was a current MLB
Yes, we
roster.
are doing off of the current MLB rosters. So MLB 23, where these guys will be playing, is where we, as of today, that's what we did.
Yep. And then my next guy was Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers, 9th round. And then my fifth slot for the starting pitching rotation, I have Josiah Gray of the Washington Nationals
Washington Nationals.
in the 6th round. And then as far as bullpen goes, this is kind of a beefy bullpen. There are some lemons in the rough, but they're fairly decent. But here we go. In the 3rd round, I had Andres Munoz from the Seattle Mariners. And then the next guy up, Liam Hendricks in the 23rd round from the Chicago White Sox. Hopefully he has a speedy
ironically
recovery
enough,
IRL.
who has no other extra cards, so you ended up with a gold player out of that.
Which is fine. And then my next one was Jorge Lopez of the Minnesota. Wait, no. Was he?
That would have been. I think that would have been the Minnesota Twins.
Yep, I did have the Twins. Okay, cool. Anyways, yeah, I had Jorge Lopez of the Twins, dominant pitcher, and then I had in the 20th round Jordan Romano of the Toronto Blue Jays, the closer, and then I had 3 more relief pitchers. I had Michael Fulmer of the Chicago Cubs. I had Ryan Heasley of the St. Louis Cardinals. And then I had Alexis Diaz of the Cincinnati Reds. Fulmer was in the 24th round, Heasley was in the 16th round, and Diaz was in the 25th round. And then to finish off the bullpen, I had Joe Mantiply of the Arizona Diamondbacks in round 26 of the draft.
All right, so
I'll
go to my rotation. Yeah, I'll do my rotation.
Okay.
My rotation. When I picked the Brewers in round 2, when I ended up drawing the Brewers in round 2, as soon as I picked it, Ruckus had a little bit of a fuss. Not as big of a fuss as a player that I'll mention later, but still as much of a fuss when I took Corbin Burns in round 2. As after I kind of solidified myself with something in round 1, I went round 2 to Corbin Burns with the Brewers.
I just didn't know who the hell to take. Because, yikes.
When you had the Brewers, you could have taken Devin Williams at that point.
I just don't like how he pitches in the game. He's so long on his delivery. I was just like, nope.
But in round 8, I picked up Logan Webb from the Giants. At round 12, I ended up with the New York Yankees. And instead of I think Aaron Judge had already been taken at that point.
Yes, sir.
So I went with Nestor Cortez in round 12. In round 16, I picked up my 4th starter in Shane McClanahan. And then in round 19, I grabbed my 5th and final starter because Jazz Chisholm had already been taken, with getting Sandy Alcantara.
I feel like you got the next best thing, though, to be honest.
Yeah, for the Marlins, yes. For a lot of my bullpen, every single one of my bullpen picks happened to come in round 15 or later. And that was because in round 15, I picked up my closer immediately in getting Edwin Diaz. And then in round 17, I picked up David Bednar from the Pirates.
That's who I was going to pick before I picked my other one, but yeah. But
no, you took O'Neill. You got the Pirates before I did.
Right, and I was thinking about taking Bednar, but then I was like, nah, you took someone of mine, so I'll take the next best thing.
Yeah. Yep. But then I get the Astros in round 18 and take Ryan Presley. Then I go into round 20, and I've already got the playoff version of him, but Yency Almonte. Round 22, I get the Padres, and knowing that I don't need a starter because Alcantara came off my board, I went and took Josh Hader. Round 23, I get my Red Sox, and I pull Kenley Jansen. Round 25, I get Victor Arano from the Nationals. And then round 26, I get Giovanni Gallegos of the Cardinals my only non-diamond in the lineup. And I really wish that had I looked and saw some better bullpen options early, I could have had Nolan Arenado or Paul Goldschmidt. But
Yeah.
but I but I like my decision making there. Gallegos isn't terrible.
Yep. All right. I'll go to my bench now. So,
Yep.
in my bench, I have Christian Yelich from the 5th round from the Brewers. I have Jose Iglesias from the Colorado Rockies in the 10th round. I have Pete Alonso from the 21st round from the Mets. And then so I kind of I forgot to mention that I moved Judge to the bench and put Schwarber at left. And the
Oh,
reason for that,
yeah, because you just weren't hitting with him.
well, Judge, I just have bad luck with him. But Schwarber, I could hit bombs with him. And then here is my starting lineup. So,
Well, hang on. I'll go through my bench and then we'll go to our starters.
okay.
Um, all right. So my designated hitter that I picked up in round 6 was Joey Votto of the Reds. In round 9, I grabbed Dansby Swanson of the Cubs. At round 10, I initially had him at catcher, but then because of a later pick, I moved him to the bench. And that is Shea Langoliers of the Oakland Athletics. In round 21, I then was able to scoop up Jared Walsh. So none of us took Mike Trout. And then in round 24, I grabbed Corey Seager from the Rangers. And now we go to our starting position players.
All right, at my designated hitter, I picked Jordan Alvarez of the 18th round for the Astros. As far as catching goes, I picked MJ Melendez as in the 15th round. I got the Royals. And at first base, I have Rafael Devers from the first round. Second base, I had Jazz Chisholm in the 14th round. Third base, I had Jose Ramirez in the 13th round. At shortstop, I had O'Neal Cruz in the 8th round. Left field was Schwarber. Center field was Ronald Acuna Jr. in the 2nd round. And then Mookie Betts in the 7th round at right field.
All right, for me, because I already mentioned my designated hitter, Avado, because I did that with my bench. At catcher, in the 14th round, I grabbed Adley Rutschman from the Baltimore Orioles. At first base, in the 1st round, I grabbed Vladimir Guerrero Jr. from the Toronto Blue Jays. At second base, from the Cleveland Guardians, I picked up in the 11th round Andres Jimenez. At third base from the Atlanta Braves, I picked up Austin Riley in the 5th round. At shortstop in the 3rd round, the pick that ultimately caused a fuss for Ruckus, Bobby Witt Jr.
Oh, Bobby,
And
that better be a
I
cheerleader in your room. God, I forgot how the line goes, but
took the shortstop.
God damn it, Bobby.
All right. At left field in round 7, I initially had him at second base, but once I grabbed Jimenez in round 11, I moved Ketel Marte from the Diamondbacks to left field. At center field, I have Luis Robert from the White Sox that I picked up in round 4. And then in right field, I picked up Bryce Harper in round 13 when I had the Phillies.
You know what's weird to me? Acuna, whenever I was doing like my little practice games, no matter like what jersey I was wearing, he always stood out because he always wears yellow.
Yellow.
I'm just like, what the? I'm like, why? Acuna, my dog.
Yeah, I left a lot of players that I could have grabbed on the board, but I also kind of picked a lot of things based on need.
I also just didn't
And
want to like be a sitting duck if I didn't pick Acuna or somebody else instead of Trout, because like Trout is kind of the glitch in the game, but also you have his homeboy Otani, uh, who's a two-way, and that's why I went Otani. That needs the cover athlete in the game. It's pretty known that if you have the cover athlete in the game, you're gonna have a good time.
Like I went and I took like for me, I think that grabbing Vlad Jr. in round one was or drawing the Blue Jays was huge. But I think that whenever I grabbed the Brewers, me taking Corbin Burns was critical because I wanted a number one starter. Um, a lot of my later needs ended up being the bullpen because I knew that if I left myself with too many position players open, I knew that I was not going to be grabbing good good teams for great position players. And I was grabbing teams with solid bullpen options later that kind of covered my bases.
Yeah.
But we will be playing this game on MLB The Show 22 at some point on Saturday, and then it will probably be to your recording as a best of 3 either Saturday or Sunday. Or sometime before the next episode of Ruckus and the Menace.
Yeah, it'll probably be Saturday. I'll work on it.
Yep. And to close out before we go to the weekly stud and dud, we have our color commentary. And this week it is Big Deal, Little Deal, or Nothing Burger. Is the topics that we are going to be speaking on a big deal, little deal, or a nothing burger is the question.
Yep.
The first one that I think we really want to kind of set up here, I'm not gonna go with that first one that we put down just yet because that's a little bit more of a main event thing.
Yep.
Rex Ryan interviewing for the defensive coordinator of the Broncos. A big deal, little deal, or nothing burger?
To be honest, because they just who just was it Vic Fangio that got hired as the defensive coordinator for the Jets?
I think so.
I think I
It
heard
was
something
one of those
about
things.
that.
I think Fangio did get hired somewhere.
Okay, because if because I was wondering because I was like Vic Fangio didn't get hired by the Broncos for a defensive coordinator.
He was formerly a head coach at Denver, though.
Yeah. So with Rex Ryan being out of the league for a while, interviewing for a defensive coordinator of the Broncos, I don't see that as a bad thing. I see it as more of a little deal because it feels like more of a rumor rather than truth. But who knows? He could become a defensive coordinator. I mean, Wade Phillips is a defensive coordinator in the XFL for the for the for the
Coordinator or head
Roughnecks.
Coach?
I thought he was a defensive coordinator
Or is he
for the
the
Roughnecks.
or is he the head coach? I think he's actually the head coach of the
Let me look it up.
Roughnecks.
Wade Phillips. He is okay. He is the head coach of the Roughnecks.
Yeah, he's the head coach of the Houston Roughnecks.
My bad. Anyways, Rex Ryan, I feel like is a little deal. What do you think, Spinnis?
I think this is a nothing burger because I don't think this is going to. Is this really going to affect Denver at all? It could. It could, in the sense of possibly making that defense a little better in terms of the corners being able to develop under Rex Ryan. But I think that the game, because Rex Ryan has been gone from it for so long, this could be one of those situations where it was like Joe Gibbs coming back in 2004 for Washington, where some elements of the NFL in terms of what's trending in terms of offenses and things like that. I mean, Rex Ryan has been an analyst for ESPN, but it's a little different being an analyst seeing things from one side versus being out on the field and dealing with it.
Yeah.
I think the game may have passed Rex Ryan by. So I think this is definitely a nothing burger
What's the name of his brother? Because that man looks like he
Rob
should.
Rob Ryan.
Dude, his brother looks like he belongs on a lazy boy rather than on the field. Like the man looks homeless compared to Rex. Rex looks amazing compared to him.
Well, Rex has also, I think, lost a significant amount of weight too.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're onto something there.
Comparatively, yeah, I think
Yeah.
Rex Ryan has lost a significant amount of weight. The second one that really sticks out here is Aaron Judge picking up reps in left field during spring training. A big deal, a little deal, or a nothing burger?
I feel like it could be a big deal for the Yankees if it turns out that he does very well in the field because, like you were telling me during the writing of this episode, Stanton would have to go to right, and then they would give some reps to Harrison Bader, which it didn't seem like they gave Bader all that much because they
No,
still won.
Bader is going to be the starting center fielder.
Well, I was talking in terms of like what happened last season whenever Bader got traded to the Yankees for Jordan Montgomery. I didn't really know like if Hicks was gonna be the right fielder or whatnot. Was he the right fielder or was it Judge in right and then
Hicks was in left. Hicks was
that
in left.
that makes sense. Okay, yeah. I feel like if Stanton doesn't do well in right, they're probably gonna put Hicks in right and then put Judge in left still. We'll see, but I feel like that's a big deal if you're looking at the defense for the Yankees.
I'm actually not going to say big. I'm not going to say a big deal. I think this is a little deal. And the reason why I say a little deal is because the Yankees are already somewhat versatile as far as options that they could go to. In terms of being able to have your three of your best players in the outfield and then have maybe like a DJ LeMahieu or something like that DH. Because you probably got DJ LeMahieu there anyway if he's not playing second base.
You
So
also have a rivalry between the Red Sox and Yankees.
yeah,
So
that's a little no, but I just don't see that. Like even this being like a Red Sox Yankees thing, kind of seeing it from me being a Red Sox fan, like seeing it from like a completely unbiased perspective, it's not as big of a deal as what people think or what you're thinking it is. But I'm saying it's a big enough deal that adding versatility to what Aaron Judge can do in a lineup for you puts really just kind of puts the Yankees in a little bit more of an interesting position with problems to have in terms of, oh, what do we do with Aaron Hicks? Do we turn him into the DH? Do we possibly move like Glaber into second base and give DJ LeMahieu a DH day, or put or go and move this around so that you've got Judge Hicks and Bader with Giancarlo Stanton being the DH. So it kind of gives like a little bit more rotation in terms of some load management defensively for the Yankees. So I'm
yeah,
gonna say that's a little bit more why I say little deal rather than big. Because the Yankees already had this. It's just now Judge picking up these reps to kind of further add to the number of solutions that the Yankees could have to solving X problem.
yeah.
That's all I'm saying with that one.
That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Is Mookie Betts admitting signs were stolen in 2018 with Boston a big deal, little deal, or nothing burger?
Um, I feel like it could be a little deal as far as the controversy goes around the internet and what people's opinions are about it. I mean, as long as it was legal in the rulings, I feel like that's okay. But to people that remember the 2017 Astros and their sign stealing stuff and all that with the trash can banging, they might think, "Oh, this is another thing of that," because technically Alex Cora was part of the staff on the Astros in 2017,
But
and then he became the head
but the
coach in
Yank
2018.
but there's a difference. There was a difference in how it was done. There's a difference in how it was done because there were some things that yes were in and available that were legal, but certain things in that legality of what was allowed, the rules and kind of how they went about it kind of got twisted and bent to the point that what ended up happening was that there was some sort of illegal thing, like something that broke the rules
Hmm.
going on while they were trying to do something in the rules. And the and the person that was behind it has already been punished for it. This does And they said that none of this was done during the World Series, which being the championship, the ultimate championship, where that would have mattered. The Red Sox were already an amazing team in 2018 to begin with, even before that.
Yeah.
So I really ultimately, because some things have already transpired and were involved with that, I'm gonna say this is a nothing burger. But although the court of public opinion will say otherwise, I think this is a little more of a nothing burger because some stuff with this has already been resolved.
Yeah.
What, like Mookie Betts bringing this out to the surface, and of course, in baseball, there's going to be sign stealing, legal sign stealing anyway.
Yeah.
There's things that are there's things that are legal in sign stealing and kind of tracing a pattern anyway. And you're going to see every single team find some way to gain an advantage or find some way to kind of conceal their signs to have the advantage. You're going to see that no matter what sport you play. So this is a nothing, Bert. This is nothing. This is nothing. Is Brock Purdy's surgery being delayed due to swelling in the elbow a big deal, little deal, or nothing burger?
I feel like it's a big deal as far as what happened in the or not AFC, the NFC Championship game versus the um the Eagles, because Brock Purdy had a noodle arm after getting hit by it and having a torn ligament, and the fact that it's swelling is not a good sign if you're looking at your options on quarterbacks, because Jimmy G is probably going to be shipped out, um, and then you still have Trey Lance, but you don't know how well he's going to be recovered from his UCL injury or ACL.
No, I think Trey Lance's was a broken leg. I think it was Trey Lance's. I think was lower body.
I thought it was like leg or something or foot, because Jimmy G was definitely a foot. It was a broken foot.
Yeah, Jimmy G's was a foot. Oh, Trey Lance's, yes, was a broken ankle.
Yeah, so like, no, God knows how Purdy's gonna be then. My guess is Purdy will be okay, but I don't think he'll. I think he'll be farther out than what Trey Lance is going to be like. And in a sense, the 49ers could do a plug and play thing, kind of like the Tampa Bay Rays have been doing with players, where like they plug and play and then still do fine. Where because like with the quarterback situation in San Fran, it feels like, because like when they went from Trey Lance to Jimmy G, it seemed like a somewhat smooth conversion. And then when Jimmy G went down and then Brock Purdy played, it seems like it was mostly the doing of like the offensive weapons like Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, and many other guys too that were in that rotation, like Juszczyk. Like,
Yeah.
it seemed like they were helping out more with the quarterback rather than the quarterback doing most of the work.
Yeah, I am going to say that really, I think that this also is a big deal, but I think it's a big deal in terms of this kind of sets the 49ers in a weird, it puts the 49ers in a little bit of a weird place of you've got three quarterbacks who are recovering from major injuries. What do we really do from here? Do we hang on to all three and kind of treat this as a little more like an infirmary and we get each of them back gradually for just in case this happens again? Or are we monitoring each situation and possibly looking at letting somebody go in a trade to try and get cheap assets to then eventually turn it around and go for a draft pick? Like go for a possible draft pick.
I honestly
It
wouldn't be surprised if during the NFL draft there's a big move from the 49ers at some point.
Yeah, but I think it's going to come down to really how quickly are these quarterbacks going to recover if they decide to get rid of one. They may be stuck between a rock and a hard place, and let's just hope they're not like Homer in the Simpsons movie, kind of banging around between the rock and the hard place.
What if the hard place becomes a Wentz opportunity? You know, maybe Carson goes over there.
Carson wouldn't fit.
I mean, he wouldn't really have to do much other than throw the ball, possibly.
I don't know. I don't know.
I,
I just don't know if that Shanahan offense is right for Carson Wentz.
what is
Is it
right
a
for Carson Wentz? To be honest with you, like that's a
not
question.
being in the league?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like he would fit okay with the 49ers because, like, Brock Purdy, like, he was Mr. Irrelevant. And yeah, like, this or that. But, like, I still think, like, even, I feel like you could have put, like, Matt Castle in there and they would have done well because of, like, the weapons surrounding the quarterback, like I was saying, and the way their offense does things. I feel like it, just at that point, if you put Wentz in there, it would be about the same formula. Because like with the Commanders, it was both sides working together more evenly rather than a 70-30 approach that the 49ers did for the most part. Because most of them could like do jet sweeps and all that stuff. But anyways.
Yeah. But we're both saying big deal on that.
hmm
Okay, is the Hawks firing Nate McMillan a big deal, little deal, or a nothing burger?
My question to you, Spennis, is uh who is left out there in the NBA head coaching or coach pool that could make
Um,
it a big deal or a bigger
well,
deal?
the most notable name that is left in there that the Hawks are highly considering is former Utah Jazz coach Quinn Snyder. That's the most notable name left in the pool that probably is more so the favorite to get the job.
As far as what I think it's a big deal for the organization because that's like the head honcho of how you get like plays done and things worked on to like actually win games and get the players around you to buy in to those plays and things that happen and just the morale of the team in general. I think it's a big deal that Nate McMillan, or yeah, McMillan was fired. Um, to be honest with you, the Hawks have just been kind of like a hit or miss team since like the last decade or so, it seems. I mean, they've been in the playoffs, but they don't get very far.
Okay. So for where the Hawks are currently, it feels very, very weird for them to fire Nate McMillan at this point in the season. Because they're 29 and 30. They've lost their last two. But the biggest thing is that they're in the play-in. They're in the play-in. You kind of basically just are like, all you have to do is just keep this thing afloat. And basically don't sink the ship. And you're right there in the hunt trying to get into the final spots of the playoff. You're right there. You just have to keep this thing afloat for 23 more games. It feels weird. It feels weird that they decided to do this. Plus, Quinn Snyder being in there, it makes the Snyder is known for slow running offense. And you've got Trae Young, who's not necessarily known for being very, very slow.
Yeah.
Like slow in operation.
Also, Boomer Sooner.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna all of a sudden say that with that. But you have Sadiq Bey, Bogan Bogdanovic, Clint Capella, John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, Trae Young, Deontay Murray. Are they really gonna want to play that slow?
Hell
Some of
no,
the,
we won't go. Hell no.
I don't think they need to play necessarily that slow. But Snyder is a very disciplined coach, as he's shown in Utah with his track record of success. So, with Quinn Snyder being the number one contender, this to me is it's a shock, but I think it's a little deal more than anything else.
Yeah. All right, the main event.
Yep. Is Eric Bieniemy going to the Washington Commanders as offensive coordinator and associate head coach? A big deal, little deal, or a nothing burger?
I think since now Eric is now the enemy of the cheat. No, I'm just kidding. Bad joke. I think Eric Bieniemy going to the Commanders is a big deal for Washington, as it adds some more competitiveness to the Commanders' repertoire when it comes to Bieniemy. Because my God, no matter the drama with him and the Chiefs and whatever interviews he had in the past, the man did his due diligence. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion coordinator, and throughout the 10 years he's been with the Chiefs, he was one hell of a coach, day in and day out. There is no way you could really short straw that, and I think he definitely deserved going to the Commanders, and I feel like you guys should have a renaissance with the Commanders as far as how the talent is going to pan out. And I hope that Sam Howell develops immensely with Bieniemy's presence there. And I hope that you guys have a lot of success over in Washington. And maybe,
Here,
just maybe, Dan Schneider might get kicked out eventually.
here's where I'm at with this. In terms of Snyder being ran out, Bieniemy coming over is not important. However, Bieniemy coming over to the Commanders is a big deal. The only detractor to Bieniemy that I've seen so far, other than Michael Wilbon, in saying the whole nobody wants to come to Washington shtick. The only major detractor was Shady McCoy, who on
Is
Speak for Yourself has said that Bieniemy didn't really do anything.
also
But
Shady didn't
but
really do anything either,
anything,
so screw him.
yeah, yeah. So he basically got benched there in Kansas City due to 3 fumbles and really not so great performance.
The dude just literally didn't keep the ball secure all that much either, and Bieniemy had nothing to do with that. I think Shady is just being shady and not Slim Shady, more like Thick Shady, but I think he was mainly just talking trash because because Mr. LaShawn McCoy over here didn't
He
have the
didn't
best
pan out under
career.
Bieniemy. He didn't pan
Yeah.
out under Bieniemy. And
And
he basically was saying more so that it's like, oh, it's Andy Reid doing everything.
dude, he literally had a lazy boy chilling with him on the sidelines for both the Chiefs Super Bowl win and the
And the
Buccaneers Super Bowl.
Buccaneers one.
So, if you're listening to this, LaShawn McCoy, which I hope you are, you're a jabroni.
All right. So where I'm going with this is that Bieniemy choosing to go to the Commanders, it basically we gave him opportunity that the Chiefs weren't giving him. Assistant head coach, being able to bring in his own staff, being able to call the plays and develop the playbook. This is going to allow Bieniemy to tailor the playbook to Howell's strengths and really develop concepts that can help it along. The biggest thing we need to do is in free agency and the draft, kind of look into the offensive line, get Carson Wentz the heck out of there. Which the hard part is that now that we have Carson Wentz still here and the offensive coordinator changed, this is not likely.
I mean,
And
if you get Dan Schneider out of there, maybe the Dan money goes away, and they kick away Wentz as well. Because
no, but even
technically they
that,
bought him
no,
out.
no, I'm saying even then. Oh wait, Carson. What? Wait, no. There's no money guaranteed on Carson Wentz's thing.
Oh,
I'm
my
just
my version of buy him out was they took him from the Colts. That's all I was saying. Anyways.
Oh no. Yeah, it's just Carson Wentz honestly just needs to be cut. Like needs to leave the kind of the Commanders.
Dude
Needs
needs
to
to
get
go
out.
hunting. Dude needs to go hunting. Get a shotgun, shoot some ducks.
With the contract details. All right. So it looks like because Carson Wentz is on the docket for 26 million, but that money is now non-guaranteed. Yeah, so he is now on the yeah, it's a $20 million contract with a $6 million roster bonus, 26 million in total on the cap hit. If we he's no dead cap. So I think if he gets out, then this is good because it's a $26 million. It's 53 million that we don't have to spend
Yeah.
for a quarterback who has had no real success much of anywhere after, obviously, the Colts. And this just makes, and I think this makes Terry McLaurin more effective. This makes Curtis Samuel be a receiver.
Oh yeah.
It gives Jahan Dotson the ability to play a receiver. It gives Logan Thomas, if we choose to have him around, kind of play effectively at tight end.
And you still got running backs too, baby. You got Brian Robinson. You
Robinson
got
and Antonio Gibson.
Oh yeah.
Now we just have to figure out the Pied Pipers that we have to pay. And who can we bring in free agency wise that can be effective on the offensive line? Or draft it. Or draft it. Or even draft it.
It's probably better to just draft it.
Yep. But we now go into our stud and duds of the week. And we will be starting with Ruckus.
I honestly think you should go first because I want to go last.
Oh, for the what are you talking with your which one are you looking for, the stud or the dud?
For yours, I want you to do both your stud and dud, so I could do both my stud and dud after.
Okay, so my stud this week. Actually, I'll start with my dud. My dud was Patrick Mahomes for his drunk in public and giving away the Vince Lombardi trophy on accident. Although I think he eventually got it back, but I think it's the handing of the trophy to the fan and it was the actual Lombardi trophy to the fan. It's just like
the funny thing to me is whenever he went to the porta potty and then when he got out, everybody like clapped for him, kind of like one of those like inside joke things.
Yeah. But the one thing that was even better was my stud. My stud goes to former real world star, former two-time champ of the challenge, and current WWE superstar, The Miz. Mike The Miz Mizanin, for making an amazing half-court shot in the celebrity game, even though the shot ultimately did not count due to the ball leaving his hand after the buzzer. And that shot would have put the game out of, would have won it for Team Ryan. But Miz made the shot, just it didn't count due to leaving his hand too late. Take it away, Ruckus.
All right, so I'll start with my dud. So my dud this week is the DC Defenders beer snake being demolished because a bunch of jabronis over in the security staff, which to be honest, they were probably just making sure that things were safe rather than sorry. And there was probably some fans that were complaining about beer being sprayed on them, but the traditional beer snake at the DC Defenders.
Beer snake is mostly just like empty cup, like it's empty cups.
Yeah, but I saw on the highlights that there are some people like still like draining out their beer that they had, like their excess beer to do it. So I'm sure there were some people that complained about it or something, or maybe it was just that the owner didn't want any lawsuits. I don't know, but the beer snake being demolished was kind of a dud because near the beginning they were trying to connect it, and then when the security came, it just kind of got put on hold. And then lemons got thrown onto the field, which is why I called it a dud, because them fans were mad. Give them their beer snake, man. Come on, man. And then my stud for this week. This is a little bit later, but Brett Veach's message during the Super Bowl parade when doing one of those trash talk things that you do whenever you win the big game. When he was up there at the at the podium, he was saying, "Man, everyone was saying that we were doing a rebuilding or retooling year. Well, this is our version of that." As he points to the Vince Lombardi Trophy for Super Bowl 57. I found that that was a pretty badass flex for him, and also just the fact that we had like 10 rookies or 20 rookies playing in the Super Bowl, and we ended up winning with that. Like, I don't know. We're just pretty good. And also, in Beach We Trust. All right, Spinnis.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: as far as your stud, it was like the most sick like Super Bowl or championship parade celebration. I still got to go to the 2015 Kansas City Royals with Johnny Gomes.
Oh yeah, with this like American flag that he had in his left or right hand while he was in the speech.
Yeah.
He was like,
Cy Young Award winner. Not on our team. Beat him. Rookie of the year. Not on our team.
"We beat
him.
him!"
But the MVP of the whole league. Sorry, guys.
But
Not
we
on
beat
our
him
team.
too!
You too.
Dude, I love
Yep.
that. Dude, I did whenever I went for the parade, I didn't we like stayed for maybe half of those speeches because I was just like, they're just gonna be talking whatever. But man, that atmosphere is electric
Yeah.
over
Oh
there.
yeah. When you get the right atmosphere there, it works out.
And that was like the first time they ever had that happen in a while. And now that it's happened twice for the Chiefs now, like I really wanted to go to the parade, but I did not want to like I'm one of those people when it comes to traffic. I do not want to
Yeah.
deal with heavy traffic, and also I don't want to deal with worrying about parking and or getting in or out of those tight spaces. Like I don't like that. But if like someone else is doing it, cool. Like I will definitely go there and not have to worry about driving either. Because if I'm celebrating with other people, like I don't have to worry about driving. But
Right.
like, damn, like I don't know. I was a little jealous, but I was still happy for the city, and also I'm glad that no one really got hurt. I mean, Jalen Watson definitely partied a little bit too hard, but he did okay. There were no cars that got caught on fire like certain cities. San Francisco.
Philadelphia.
Yep. But yeah, I'm
Yep.
very happy for the organization, and also just I don't know. It still doesn't feel real, even though it was shown on TV and there was physical evidence of it. I think it's crazy that we're gonna be like the next Patriots, in a sense,
Who
because people
knows?
are talking mad shit on us, and I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. Because I mean, they talked mad shit on us this year. They were telling us that we weren't gonna make the West. They told us we weren't that Mahomes wasn't going to be one of the better quarterbacks, and they're still saying it. So let them. Let it cook. Just don't let Russ take it.
All right. And on that note, that'll do it for the Ruckus and the Menace podcast in this episode. We basically would wish you all to like to if you like what we're giving you here, give us a like. If you want to give us some feedback, comment, and of course subscribe to us here.
Also, for the primetime game, comment who you think is going to win. If it is Ruckus, comment Ruckus for show. If it's Spennis, uh say Spennis, and also put Ruckus in the jabroni. I don't know. Whoever wins, make the we'll have the loser be called a jabroni. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, I'm not gonna put any money on it or anything like that. I think it'll be a fun time, and I'm very excited. When we were doing
Yeah.
the announcements for the lineups, I was so happy about it. Man, it's been a while, but I don't know. Thank you for listening to the Ruckus and the Menace podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ruckus.
I'm Spanish.
And we'll see y'all later. And also don't forget to look out for the primetime game video. I believe it'll be a one cut, but we'll see how it goes.
It will be sometime this weekend.
See ya.
Yep, deuces.